can I call you Mr. J?
You can call me whatever you want, man. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Nice, nice. Well, you see, I have prepared. There's a Batcave background. We're ready to go.
Awesome. So are you saying you are the Batman?
More like a Robin, actually.
Dude, I loved Robin as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robin as a kid was he was like my, my staple hero or sidekick, whatever you want to call him.
Awesome.
All right, so Mr. Jack Levin, right? So I know a lot of people here, they want to know, especially in the chat, maybe the OGs. I don't know if the OGs are in the chat. OGs, say hello. Listen, they want to know why you're here. Why is it that you're here on my show?
Because you invited me.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true. So.
And I couldn't wait to meet you because I'm a big fan.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. I watch all of your fun videos, and I show all of it to my family.
That is really awesome. I'm actually very happy to hear that. And just for everybody on the stream, right? So like if you're a streamer here, and by the way, hello Steve-O, welcome Steve-O, another great streamer on the platform. Check him out, please. So as far as like, streaming, right? You never know who's watching. Okay, you're gonna learn who this man is. You're gonna learn who this man is and what he does, what he has done in his past, and what he is doing currently. Okay, so that being said, there's a lot of potential in streaming, and I just want you all to understand that you never know who's watching you. So, Mr. Jack Levin, that being said, introduce yourself to the chat. Let them know who you are.
I'm People call me by many names, and my favorite is obviously the vampire.
Ooh, I like that. So the vampire, go into why that is.
I actually did not know until a few months ago that I was a vampire, but apparently I am. And I think part of it is that I am obviously not aging, so I'm mostly undead. and a lot of it is makeup and sunblock and camera lights and all those things. But I think from the crypto perspective, the term vampire sometimes refers to a side project that siphons the users from another project by giving them a better project, but specifically copying the project completely and just giving people better tokenomics. So a lot of people feel that XEN is a copy of HEX, and I wish it was true, but it's not the case. It's only 400 lines of code. But hey, I mean, everybody wants me to be a vampire, so I think I should run with it.
Hey, that's what I did. People were like, well, Joker is such a bad person, and they started going all nuts about me, and I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna hate me, you're gonna hate me fully, and I'm gonna do things that's gonna make you hate me even more. But when you do come to my streams, we will make a lot of sense, and you're gonna be like, wait a minute, that guy is not a bad guy at all.
Yeah, just kind of like good but devious at the same time. Cunning.
Yes. So Jack, go into your past. What have you done, man? Like you've been around the block some, and I would like to know, or at least the audience would like to know, who are you? What is it that what makes Jack Jack?
Well, I was a billionaire since I was 5.
Stop.
And I just didn't know what to do with my money, so I figured I'm gonna find a community to take over, and Hexicans look like was the right community to enter.
He's a 5-year-old billionaire. Holy shit. Yo, you're savage, bro. Well, Mr. Billionaire at 5 years old. Let's talk about Google, man. Let's talk about the real stuff. So
let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So what have you been doing, man? What's the past?
So At Google, I built the early Google infrastructure. I was the first network infrastructure engineer at Google. I met the founders in '99 in Stanford, and they recruited me to work on the search engine to make it better, faster, and not crash a lot. Which I think the first day when I came to the Google's office, it was actually down, so I had to fix it.
Wow. So Google was down and you fixed it?
Well, let's just say that immediately on the first day, I had to go to the data center and start making things work the way I guess they should have worked. And to be honest, Google back in the time and in the day was only 20 engineers. Most of them just worked on code. They didn't really work on infrastructure, so infrastructure was in shambles. And I come from the infrastructure background where I just build stuff in data centers, and so I also did a lot of Linux work when Linux first came out in 92, 91. So I was a good match for the companies. So the engineers and developers would end up focusing on the search engine, and I would just make sure it runs.
Wow. Wow. That's historical stuff, man. That's really historical stuff, and we're glad that you did that, man, because everybody relies on Google now. As a matter of fact, you know, people call Google the god of Google because it's constantly being referred to. Whenever people want information at their fingertips, they're presented this information. And for you to be a part of literally providing information at the fingertips of every single human being on this planet, or at least the ones that are connected to the internet, that's big. That's huge.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was super fun because I was 25 years old. I technically did not know what I was doing, and I was breaking stuff as I was learning it. I think I took Google down myself maybe 5 or 6 times before I learned how to, not to take it down when I work on it. But it was super fun. It was fun 6 years. I spent about 6 years there. I left Google in '05. I started ImageShack.com right afterwards. I worked with Twitter. I was working on the Twitter's backend image storage and image delivery system. That was, I think, 2008, 2009, 2010. Eventually, Twitter designed their own system, kind of like based on what they learned from the infrastructure that I created. And I left Twitter for maybe 7 years just because I was busy working with other projects like Inventify.com, Imagizer.com, Liferock.com, so a bunch of things like that. And then in 2022, this last year, I heard that Elon is buying Twitter, and I figured I should get back into Twitter. And since I was really very early in Bitcoin, I think 2011 when I started mining it, I just started searching for interesting crypto projects, and I found PulseChain.
Wow.
So that's how I learned about PulseChain, is through Twitter.
Wow, so Twitter, and that's interesting that you went through Twitter and you found PulseChain there. And was there anything that like made you gravitate to PulseChain that made you like it, or like what is it that called your name to PulseChain?
I think it was really an accident that a friend of mine actually was one of the people who sacrificed for PulseChain. Is that the right thing to say? Sacrifice for PulseChain, or you did just sacrifice because you just feel like it? I actually don't actually understand
You
how that works.
sacrifice for freedom of speech, apparently.
Right. Freedom of speech and in movement, right? And freedom of association, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you get PulseChain for your sacrifice somehow.
You're supposed to get the non-value token of PulseChain.
Right. The free token. And so a friend of mine who I just knew from the crypto world, he's like, oh yeah, PulseChain, he sacrificed like $1 million. And he knew Richard, and he linked Richard's profile and connected the dots for me. Specifically, like, for example, I didn't know that PulseChain was Richard's project. And then I found out about HEX in a kind of strange way too. I got this postcard, HEX.com, 38% APR, APY, that sort of thing. And so it came in the mail literally the second week as I started researching PulseChain.
So wait, so you heard about Hex because of the postcard?
Basically, yeah.
What?
Yeah, the postcard came.
What? So that's so bizarre. So you heard about PulseChain first,
Yeah.
and then Hex through the postal. That's so like, I believe there's not like nothing is by accident, right? Like there's no coincidences. There has to be a reason why you were drawn into this world.
Well, I guess if we're superstitious, then it was very, very good synchronicity right there. Because literally 2 weeks later, as I discovered Pulse, Hex.com postcard came to my mailbox. I still have it.
Wow. So, did you sacrifice for PulseChain or for
No.
Speech?
I came way late. I think it was May, and I think the sacrifice pool closed a few months ago. From that point, so no, I did not.
Okay, got it. Okay. So when you did your research and you seen Hex and then you seen PulseChain, what was your impression? Like, what was your overall understanding of what you saw or what you were looking at?
I thought Hex is for sure a scam.
Wow.
For sure, 100%.
Do you still think that?
I have mixed feelings about it. I think the code isn't the scam, and I like the code, but I think it kind of behaves like a scam, which is obvious. You get a postcard that advertises 38% APY. Clearly, it's very misleading because 38% of what? The immediate reaction would be like, okay, 38% of the dollars that I put in, or is it per year? Is it the first year? Like nobody ever mentions that you have to wait 15 years.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Like, I actually fell into that in the beginning. I was like, yeah, you're getting 38% APY. And then it's like, I didn't get that percentage the first year. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, why did I get my 38%? And it's because you need to hold for 15 years.
Right. So, looks like a scam. The founder kind of acts like a scammer. So, looked like a scam to me. Though, when I started researching Richard and I listened to his streams from a couple of years ago, I was very impressed with the guy. I felt like he knows what he's talking about.
Okay,
and
so go ahead.
Yeah, and so I figured the scam optics might be marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah.
So do you believe that he marketed it the way that he did so it gets more attention?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. So would that take away from your perception of it being a scam now that you're thinking, okay, it's for marketing, so, he did it on purpose?
Technically, yes, it takes away that perception because I don't believe in calling a person guilty until he's proven guilty. So I tend to think people are innocent by default. And so even though there is an opportunity for the scam, it isn't necessarily aiming to be one. It just looks like one.
Okay. So in terms of Richard Hart, okay, he obviously has words to say about you and Zen and whatnot. I think he called you the Google guy or something like that.
Well, that's the funny thing. He can't even say my name.
Well, he doesn't want... His thing is he doesn't want to give people clout. He doesn't want to show people who you are.
I think the strategy there is he doesn't want the new people to know who I am. But the old people, they all know who I am. So like specifically when he refers to this 3-letter coin with this, person from a 6-letter company, people can put 2 and 2 together. Doesn't he call it like a truth diode or something like that, where people who know, they know, and people who don't know will not know?
Right. Yeah. That's kind of the angle he's going at.
Yeah.
So, in terms of like your previous kind of like your stuff that's been going around about like Richard Hart. And I remember a video that you said, "Oh, Richard Hart, he looks like a scammer," right? You said something like that, and you were heavily scrutinized for that. This was prior to you, putting out Zen, right?
No, that was actually a compliment. I think everybody understands that even though he looks like a scammer, I was very specific to point out that it's purely marketing, which may actually work.
Right, but the point is, like, a lot of the Hexicans, they took that one part of it and they blew it up. So they took it completely out of context. They blew it up where you said he looks like a scammer, right? And then he was like, I guess the OG community like hopped on it, like how they usually do on a lot of people.
Actually, it was a little bit different. So someone on my Telegram channel, when I was doing a voice chat, they asked me, what should Richard do not to be perceived as a scammer, not to be gatekept? And my recommendation was to deal with the OA. Specifically, it is the OA that brings in all the heat to Richard for owning the OA. And my recommendation was that he needs to get rid of it somehow.
I don't think he can.
Sure he can.
He said he doesn't own it. He said that it could be a shaman somewhere in Africa.
Sounds like a lie to me.
Holy shit. I agree. I agree. A lot of Hexicans, by the way, hi Hexicans, how you doing? A lot of Hexicans are afraid to ask the questions like that, right? Like, what the fuck is the OA? How is it that this imaginary person or people or AI or whatever it is that owns this thing, this wallet of the OA, like how does he not have any kind of like influence on it, right? And some people are saying, well, it could be a panel of people. It could be a DAO, right?
It doesn't matter. As long as there's people involved, they can act on it.
Right. And one of the biggest dangers, and I have to, kind of like reiterate something we said in the back room before the stream, is that he could lose his keys. It can get hacked, right? I mean, that OA, he could literally get hacked and it's fucking done. It's over, right?
Right. So the drama on calling me the bad guy for calling out OA was the fact that a lot of Hexicans do not understand solidity in how the contract actually works, the HEX contract. The 3.69% derives its interest, its inflation. They think it's deriving it from the OA. The fact is, if you look at the code, you'll see it. The 3.69% is derived from the total supply. And the total supply is written in the contract. It is linked to the OA. Now, if the OA's money is sent to the null address, that does not reduce the supply. So the story was that if he can get rid of the OA, or if he would get rid of the OA, then nobody would get the interest. That is actually not true. If the OA is sent to a wallet that is inaccessible, the supply does not get reduced. So the inflation that's created by the HEX contract, 3.69%, will actually continue to work.
Interesting.
But a lot of people don't know that. They think if as soon as it goes to the null address, this whole inflation 3.69 disappears. It doesn't work like that. There's a mint function that will continue to mint based on the APY set within the contract, regardless which address holds the OA funds. Now, if the OA funds are sent to the null address, well, then nobody truly has access, but yet the inflation still works and everybody still makes their APY.
Wow. So why is there need for an OA? Why can't it just be sent to the null address?
Hey, if I was wanted to enrich myself, I would set up the OA exactly like he did.
Oof. Fuck! how do you argue with that? I just, how do you argue with that? So
Well, I don't think you can argue with that. I think it's the truth.
It takes smart people to do smart things and to say smart things and to draw smart conclusions, or at least make smart theories.
Now listen. I am not against people enriching themselves. We live in a capitalist society, so people should do what they should do. And it's totally fine. I mean, technically, if a person does that and everybody loves that fact that it's happening, then why can't the person do it? There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not gonna be a moral judge of what's right and what's wrong. I think if people love the setup, they should continue to love it. I mean, who am I to tell that it's wrong?
Right. I mean, look, Richard Hart, and here's something I just want to kind of put here, and we'll talk about Zen too, because we definitely need to cover Zen, because I want the stream to know about Zen crypto, and what it is exactly. It's literally a free coin that you can like mint yourself, and you get a free coin, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. In terms of Richard Hart, one of the biggest selling points that he gives is, oh, I was rich before crypto, before I did this whole thing in crypto. I mined my own Bitcoin at, what is it, $2 or whatever the fuck it was. The thing is with Richard Hart, he always says like, oh, well, he doesn't want to say that he sold a single hex. As a matter of fact, he gets quite defensive when people are like, hey, did you ever sell hex? And he's like, I'm not going to talk about my money. I'm not going to talk about what I do with my money. So like he doesn't want to say that he has, right? But if you were to take a moment and go into Richard Hart's streams, right? Take a moment, go into his little fucking YouTube, right? And go down the list of when he started. When he started, okay, he wasn't flashy. He didn't have a lot of stuff, right? As a matter of fact, when he was talking about, Aubrey de Grey and what was that foundation? Not the Sens, but it was...
Starts with an M. Myth, something.
Right.
Something MYTHE. I can't even say it.
Me neither. But there was a foundation that he was talking about, and that foundation eventually shilled the dog shit token that got everybody wrecked. But nobody talks about that. But again, he was like doing stuff for them, and he didn't look super rich, right? He didn't look like he was like absolutely wealthy as much as he is now. Now, when he launched HEX and everything was kind of like going out, he had like one timepiece. Like he wasn't really like, he had some things that made him look super like, like it was unique, right? With the chair and the fucking background, but he didn't have a lot of like high value items. And then as time progressed, right, and HEX started getting to its all-time high and stuff, before PulseChain, he had like maybe 4 watches, right? So he started getting things. And then PulseChain happened, and all of a sudden his room exploded with things. The bear, the plane, the whole rack of watches. I mean, you name it, he did it. And he owned it, right? So for people to simply say that Richard Hart never sold a hex, or he was rich before he did it, like it doesn't make any sense, because if you just see how it progressed and he started getting things, there has to be a moment where he did sell something. And
well, I would say, truth to be told, in 2021 and end of or the beginning of 2022, a lot of people were getting rich in crypto regardless of hex. You could be holding on Shiba and making a killing, so you don't have to technically sell hex and become very wealthy.
Well, I find it a bit of well, again, I don't believe in coincidences, but I find it interesting that he wasn't getting anything, and then we were like going up in value, and all of a sudden he started getting things, right? It just, when it could be a coincidence, could be, but I don't believe that that's the case. I honestly am convinced that he sold some hex. He had to have.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know, can't speculate on that. I think he discovered that the community reacts to the sort of show of wealth in a very positive way, and he just decided to do it. I mean, he could have had money before, we don't know. Also, I find it interesting that, this guy, Dan Bilzerian, the guy who, he's like the Instagram's king. He grows weed, and he has this brand that he does. It has a goat on it. He's like everywhere on Instagram. Anyway, Dan Bilzerian, the poker player, he looks like, or rather he acts like a buff Richard Hart.
Really?
Dan Bilzerian. If you just type in Google Dan Bilzerian, you're gonna see that the personality type is very, very similar, and he's very flamboyant. You know, he has 10 girls, you know, gorgeous girls next to him, has a plane. They smoke weed all the time on Instagram, so that sort of thing is actually very common in terms of getting engagement. So he gets a lot of engagement. I think on Instagram he has like 50 million followers, something like that.
Interesting. Well, maybe, I mean, these kinds of tactics work, right? Where you go out and you show, you know, all these cars and whatever. I mean, it's a marketing thing, right? In terms of the outrage marketing, although I do think, as it did, you know, allude to his follower base going up, I think that it ultimately hurt the chart of HEX.
Yeah, I mean, I would say every coin got hurt, so not just HEX. I mean, again, if we look at Shiba Inu, you're probably familiar with it. It did a huge pump and then it did a huge dump. So there's nothing really special about HEX going down 95%.
Would you say that other coins didn't go down as much as HEX?
That depends on the coin. I think there's 21,000 coins out there. Some got completely vaporized, 99.999% down. So I wouldn't say that HEX went or led the pack to the basement.
No. Definitely not. But I do think that the outrage marketing did have some form of impact on the price. That's just, again, my personal opinion.
So here's what have the impact on the price. It's liquidity. Now, the way that it is being described in the community is HEX is very much gate-capped. It's not even showing up on CoinMarketCap. It's not really trading on centralized exchanges. Like, why is that? So I think the reason why that is specifically because 90% of HEX is actually held by a couple of wallets. And that makes it unsafe. And that's why the centralized exchanges are not willing to list it. Now, if nobody's, I mean, like, look at Shiba again. Shiba is listed everywhere. Coinbase. Pretty much you throw a dart into centralized exchanges, it's going to be trading and listed, and they have futures on it and just everything. Now, HEX has nothing like that. And the lack of liquidity is what drives the volatility of the asset. So when everything's selling, whatever has the least liquidity sells faster.
Well, so in terms of being gate capped, do you think that was one of the main reasons why it didn't do so well, you know, during this bear market, or?
I believe so. I believe the low liquidity of HEX is hurting its price, not the flamboyant behavior of Richard. I think nobody could care less what the founder looks like or what he does. But if you look at the tokenomics, and like a lot of Asian exchanges, they don't even speak English. They would list anything, and they're not listing HEX. So they wouldn't care about what Richard does. They would look at the tokenomics and look at the asset allocation, and they would say, wait a second, the percentage of the undiluted market cap is like 0.1%. Why would we list something that's so thinly traded? It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so that actually what hurts the price.
Interesting.
Because
concept.
there's no buyers. I mean, like, what if HEX had a lot of Asian buyers? Well, they would buy it on OKC exchange, on Binance, everywhere. They wouldn't care who Richard is. They would just buy something that's going up or has the liquidity that they can sell or buy into.
Interesting concept. You know, one thing that I do fight against is centralized figures. I don't like when influencers and the founder have any kind of influence in the price of any coin. That's one thing that I don't like. Because if they do, like, say for instance, I don't know, Charles Hoskinson does something shady and it turns out that, he's found to be a con man, and he ended up, selling drugs to kids and, do human trafficking, whatever. Doing kind of stuff like that, and then all of a sudden the price tanks, which there could be some form of, like, correlation between how a founder acts and the price action. There could be.
I think there is, but I think most of it is the economics and tokenomics in the allocation of where the coins really are. So, but I totally agree with you. Like, for example, if you take Richard's personality and you put him into Charles Hoskinson's place, nobody would take Cardano seriously.
Right, and that's the fucking problem, right? And that's always been the problem. And I think that, you know, since he's making a chain, PulseChain, right? I mean, it's essentially a direct competitor to Cardano.
Not really.
Well, it's in terms of being a chain, right? Like, right?
Yeah, but I would say that nobody in the right mind would think that PulseChain is actually a competitor to anybody.
Why is that?
Because all the marketing materials about PulseChain, just basically saying, look, we're gonna have better block time, faster chain, cheaper. It already exists. Polygon, Binance, Phantom. I have a list of 15 different chains that will do better than Ethereum.
Oh my god.
So why would I mean, it seems to be that people are like live in a vacuum and they think that PulseChain is gonna solve Ethereum's problems, but they don't even understand that Polygon has been doing it for like 3 years.
Right. And then of course with what is it? ETH POW and then ETH F. Like those are just failed forks, and it just shows that the concept, even though you're going to give people another really big airdrop, it doesn't mean you're going to get adoption.
Well, if we're speaking frankly here, the only reason for PulseChain to launch is to distribute the sacrifice funds into PulseChain.
Elaborate.
Well, that is the only thing that's attractive about it. Let's say that somebody launches a chain and has raised $50 million in investment money, which is actually a lot. Now, you compare it with PulseChain launching with $2 billion, which chain would you go to? Of course, you would go to PulseChain because all this money will be sloshing around in it.
Right.
So people would not go there for the technical reasons. They would go there for the economic reasons.
Right. That makes sense. But do you think that all that liquidity will be put into PulseChain?
I speculate yes. That's my personal opinion. That is the only reason. I mean, like, if I think that is the reason to launch PulseChain, and it's not really truly a technical reason, then yes, I have to believe that that money will be put into PulseChain.
I hope so.
I mean, not all of it, but certainly enough to pump Pulse, I would say.
Do you think Richard Hart has the work ethic to maintain PulseChain?
I can't comment on his work ethic, but the track record shows that people, I guess, been waiting for a couple of years now. So I think the technical aptitude isn't there. Just looking at the history.
So another bit of FUD that occurred in terms of PulseChain. And this is what Steph Staker was. You know who Steph is, right? Staker app.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I met him on Twitter.
Yeah, he is a. He started highlighting this, and it really started sounding off the alarms. And one thing is apparently Richard Hart scrapped a large amount of code to essentially fork ETH 2.0.
Okay.
Did that, like, what was your observation of that? Did you look into the code? And
I haven't looked into it. I only looked at the interviews that were publicly available, and it looks like when Ethereum 2 launched, it threw a wrench into the spokes of the plan to copy the state, and so now the team has to start from scratch, essentially.
Wow. So does that delay the launch, or does that make it faster?
I would say it delays the launch because they have to relearn everything that Vitalik and their team has done.
So what would make it unique? if they're just gonna fork ETH 2.0.
The only thing that makes PulseChain unique is the sacrifice funds. Nothing else makes it unique.
Jesus Christ.
But that's my personal opinion. Like, I don't even know. So think about it. They haven't released anything in the last 2 years. And wasn't there like a 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 2 months and then eventually 2 years?
Yeah.
So it's been delayed. The only way to explain it is that the team that's working on it is actually incompetent. So it isn't due to Ethereum all of a sudden switching to Ethereum 2. I think they're just not good developers. They couldn't deliver when Ethereum was proof of work. I don't really have much hope for Ethereum proof of stake. And I think that being the case, the only attractive element of Pulse is the sacrifice funds.
Okay. I'm hoping that they have something in their pocket, like an ace in the hole, in the code to make it better somehow.
Well, they should be talking about it weekly. They should be telling the world what it is that what makes Pulse better on a technical level. So there's no reason not to be transparent about what the team is doing.
Well, I've seen one developer, and apparently they've been like posting recently some highlights, some things that they're doing, and then there's like on GitHub, there's private kind of posts that's been occurring. So there are some updates, but it's not as much as you would think for a chain. Now, one of the arguments that I've heard is there needs to be a node or a network of validators that needs to be like established for PulseChain to work. Is it possible for them to achieve that kind of amount of validators to essentially match what Ethereum's doing?
So Ethereum has like thousands and thousands of validators. I don't think it's in the interim it is possible to achieve the same scale. Though the scale is not necessarily needs to match Ethereum because there won't be as many transactions like what we're seeing today on Ethereum. So maybe you don't need the 1,000, maybe you just need 100. And if that's true, then 100 validators, you can do it in about 5 minutes. I mean, like, listen, if Richard is so wealthy, he can afford 100 servers.
Right. And I mean, he has the sacrifice funds, so I'm sure he could maybe muster up some of those finances. And that's one of the biggest concerns, right? So like one of the things is in terms of us wanting that level of traffic, and a lot of people are anticipating that there's going to be a ton of traffic, there's going to be a lot of adoption. People are going to be so happy they get all these free coins and whatnot. If say there's an influx of that and there's only 100 validators, and say there's a ton of people operating and not enough validators, what happens?
Well, then the network will become a little bit slower. But I would say it's really not big of an issue. Like, for example, if you're running on a cloud, the cloud can scale horizontally very, very easily, and you can literally just throw money at the problem and make it go faster. The problem is, though, I don't think it's going to be needing more capacity than Ethereum. There won't be as many transactions, regardless, no matter what, because frankly, Hexagon community who would be using PulseChain, it's actually not that large compared to the rest of the crypto world. And so to me, I would say that maybe 5% of the total crypto traffic compared to Ethereum today. So I don't think the capacity is the issue. Now, all of it could be just kind of a misdirection from the team. The reality could be a lot deeper than we think. And one of the things that, again, I'm speculating that's just could be the case, which may not necessarily even be the truth. I could see that maybe Richard is trying to time the market and not to launch in a bear market. Yeah, maybe he's waiting. Maybe he's waiting for the Fed to pivot first.
Yeah, a lot of people are speculating that that he is timing the market, and that's why he's not. And to be honest, I think that's a smart move, because I much rather him time the market, get into a bull run, and then PulseChain pump, right? And I think he's betting on the Hexagon marketing to get it there. But to be honest with you, you know, Hexaco, the community that's on Twitter, the ones that have been instrumental in getting Hex to where it is, right, including myself, are not the same people anymore. And that, I think, is going to hurt Hexicans. And I think that's going to hurt Pulse launch. Like
okay.
our light has dimmed, if that makes sense.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, people did mention that Richard was this one person 2 years ago, and now he's a different person. So I could see that being an issue. But I think if I was the founder of a project like that, I would just be completely transparent, and I would say that I would have a community calls monthly, and I would lay out all of my plans. If I'm timing the market, then I'll just tell people I'm timing the market, and everybody would know.
Right. Well, why is he not saying that? Richard, if you're watching, why the fuck are you not saying that? Why are you not just be like, hey, let me be transparent and stop talking in fucking riddles, right? The jig is up.
I think he believes transparency hurts something, whatever that might be. Well, but it could also be that he doesn't believe that people are actually capable of understanding what he's saying. You know how he calls everybody plebs and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So, like, why wouldn't he not translate it into a situation where I'm speaking to a bunch of idiots who don't understand anything anyway? And therefore, I don't even have to be transparent. I'll do it when I do it.
Right. That's true. Well, he obviously has this, like, deity complex, right? And I think, you know, that's, again, strategy, right? It's like, you all are stupid. I'm smarter than everybody else. I don't give a shit about what you have to say. You know, look at me. Everybody help me get my word out so I can save everyone. I mean, there's a lot of, like, terms that are, like, cultish terms, right? That people have used in the past to...
I think saving everyone is bullshit. I don't think he cares about saving anybody.
What do you think his motives are?
I think the reason why, for example, and I think you were in a similar situation. You mentioned one coin in one tweet, and Richard unfollowed you or blocked you or did something, right?
Oh, they blacklisted me after that.
Right. So I think the real reason is not the saving people, but rather that Hex has so little liquidity that anytime people stop paying attention to Hex, it actually will be sold and the price will go down quick. Which, assuming that Richard owns 90% of it, actually makes his wealth less. So I think he takes it personally because it kills his bottom line.
You know, he did say something very interesting when they did the NASCAR thing, right? So the NASCAR event where the community came together and they paid $600,000 to essentially have a NASCAR wrapped, and they, you know, they had like a whole event. They went, they partied, they drank, whatever, and then Richard Hart showed displeasure to that. And what he said was, he's like, it didn't do anything for my clicks and whatever. And all you motherfuckers, and this is what he said, all you motherfuckers more than likely dumped on the price of Hex to go ahead and get that NASCAR out, right?
So let's translate it. It dumped on the price of Hex and he got poorer.
Pretty much. Well, from what you just mentioned. And it was always weird to me. And I was like, well, if Hex has a huge market cap and there's like so many people involved and there's so much money in Hex, you know, top 5 cryptocurrency in the world and blah, 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 all the fucking selling points, right? Why would he be so pissed about a $600,000 NASCAR event?
I mean, it could be many different things. I think it could be that, like, if he's doing something disingenuous and people are rallying to do crazy things by spending their money, maybe his subconscious or his unconscious is telling him, like, it has to be stopped because he doesn't feel good about it.
And then and then he said that a better way of advertising would be the postcard stuff.
Yeah, because he comes from the world of horizontal marketing.
Do you think that's a better way of marketing?
Well, it got me in. I mean, into paying.
You're right.
Into
That's
into
right.
paying attention to Hex.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
But
it did work.
But you know what would work better?
What's
If
that?
HEX was number 10 on the coin market cap.
You are so right in saying that, man. You know, CoinMarketCap was going through an update one day, and they were like, something happened where HEX got listed the right way, quote unquote, where it was off the 201st spot and it went up to like where it should have been, right? And the amount of buys that we got was fucking insane.
Yeah, because that's where the real marketing is. It's not the postcard.
That's interesting.
The real marketing is volume, and the centralized exchange is actually showing trending coins.
So what is the outrage? So him buying Louis Vuitton, him buying all this stuff, and showing it on Twitter. What does that do?
Well, that doesn't do much for me, because I don't care.
Right. But what does it do, like in marketing terms? Does it do anything for the price? Does it do anything for HEX?
I think my belief that it hurts the community, the price, and the future of HEX 100%. I think it doesn't work. I don't think it does anything that's actually positive.
Wow. So, okay. Most recently, the SEC came out and subpoenaed a bunch of HEX influencers, myself included.
Right.
Did that pose a very big problem for HEX and PulseChain?
Of course. I mean, like, the Twitter is buzzing with it, and then there's news online that did not cover HEX before. Now we're covering HEX in a bad light. Because it doesn't matter if SEC is right or wrong. When they're looking and probing into things, they don't do it just because they want to do it. They're not going to be wasting their money just on, an exercise. It is definitely negative. So, and it's definitely causing people to freak out. I mean, didn't Hexologist actually shut down his YouTube channel after that?
Well, he didn't shut down. He stopped streaming daily. And then he did something very, 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 very shady, which was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Where he dumped $250,000 of HEX at a very low point of the price, and then 8 days later asked for money for legal fees to help battle against the SEC.
Yeah, I think he freaked out that he's gonna go to jail or something, and that he wanted to raise money for his legal defense. So maybe that's why he did it.
Right.
But I guess what we were saying is that that sort of news is not positive.
Absolutely. I have to agree with that. In terms of and we'll get into Zen after this question, because I do want to get into Zen. But in terms of the price action, do you see HEX rebounding and doing well in the next bull cycle?
Yeah, I actually do.
Really?
Yeah. I have no reason not to believe it will not do well in the next bull cycle, unless Richard is apprehended and in jail. Then it's not going to do well.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole, yeah. I hope not, because then we're all fucked in that coin. And in PulseChain.
I mean, but here's the thing. For the new investors that are researching HEX right now, they just need to look at the SEC action once and not invest.
Right, yeah. I mean, anybody would be fucking freaking the fuck out. Like, anybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, why would you, if you were to buy an alt coin, which could be a shit coin, but let's call it an altcoin, you would be doing better buying almost anything else that doesn't have SEC looking into.
Yeah. Exactly. Like that's the biggest problem is, again, the SEC thing. I think, if I had to have guessed, and I think it's going to hold back any gains into the next bull cycle. All you have to do is just type in, HEX, and all of a sudden you get this SEC stuff. You're just like, nah, I'm good. That's kind of dangerous, right?
But let's be specific. I think HEX itself is not an issue for the SEC. I think it's the Pulse sacrifice pool that is really an issue. And let's speculate for just a second.
Okay.
If we weren't in a bear market and everything was moving up and hexagons were all very happy bunch, then it is unlikely that some disgruntled hexagon would have complained to SEC that Richard is running a scam. Now, if all of a sudden everybody's losing their money and Richard buying purses daily, like, how would it make the person who bought the top of HEX feel?
I'm fucking angry. This is the optics.
Right. So they feel angry. They send a request to an SEC to look into, obviously, PulseChain, Richard, whatever, just because they feel angry. So,
jeez,
that's what an angry person would do.
See, this. I mentioned this, and I got fucking dogpiled on, and it pisses me the fuck off. Excuse my French. I don't mean to curse in front of you, man, but look,
that's fine.
You know, I said this after HexCon, the second one. Okay, when you motherfuckers were out there flexing in Lamborghini, saying, "Oh, Hex flex, Hex flex," and I said, guys, this is bad optics. All of you people, well, not all of you, but most of the people on Twitter jumped on me for that. Okay, and I said, guys, people are gonna get very angry. People are gonna get upset. I was getting DMs, people feeling they got wrecked, and they felt like you were dumping on the price and you were dumping on them. And I kept saying, guys, this is a big red flag. We need to stop. You guys didn't take that seriously, and you made fun of it. I believe there were some angry hexagons out there that bought the top, like Jack Levin just said, and they went to the SEC and they did what they did. And I think that's part of the reason why this all occurred with the SEC.
Well, there are obvious reasons for people to be angry with Richard. Obvious. So, I mean, like, let's do this exercise. Let's replace Richard with Charles Hoskinson. Okay. Let's say that he did everything that Richard have done except the personality and no flexing of any kind, right? And full transparency, because Charles goes on streams every week. He doesn't have to, but he is super transparent. He tells everybody what's going on, why things are happening, this and that. He is an open book to everybody. I mean, he, takes a few things personally here and there. I mean, I think he got some, was sending some hot water to the XRP community for calling him a petulant child, whatever, right?
Yep, I remember that.
Is that the guy speaks his mind. He's very likable. He's super intelligent. Now, Richard could be that person. Richard is very intelligent. He has been around the block for a while. All he has to do is be a little bit more like Charles Hoskinson, and then people will not necessarily be as angry with him because it's a bear market. Everything is dumping 95%. We understand. But if you are stuffing your outreach marketing into people's faces, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for a lot of angry people, which will eventually turn into an angry mob. So that's why I don't believe the outreach marketing is a good idea in a bear market.
Oh yeah, it's a horrible idea because people feel wrecked, and then you're flashing shit in their faces, and they're just like, "Well, there goes my money. Look at that purse."
Yeah, you're just telling people, "Look, I raised all this money, and now I'm spending all your money, and you're all poor."
Jesus, yeah, that's a fact. Oh man.
Well, it certainly looks like that. I don't know if it's a fact.
Well, no, it's the fact that people feel that way is what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. Let's just say that the anger level is not at 0.
Yeah, no kidding. Optics, man. It doesn't pay to be tone deaf in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift focus into Zen, man.
Sure.
So you have taken the community by storm as far as Hexaco, right? You came into the community. You had, again, a lot of input about Richard. You've actually had a conversation with Richard live. From my memory, you had that discussion with him. How did that all start? What is it that you did, or why is it that you started coming into the Hex community and you decided to do Zen?
So, long story short, my first tweet about Hex was that the price chart looks like crap, and because it was, I think, 10 cents at the time, and it went down from I guess 55, I forget. And Richard replied to the tweet saying, hey, you need to measure from the bottom. I'm like, okay, that's fine. From the bottom, it still looks good. But so is everything. I mean, we don't really measure from the top unless you buy from the top personally, and then I guess you're screwed. And so that was my first engagement. And the same day, I was invited to stream with Crypto Coffee, one of the Mexican influencers. And I never streamed before, so I'm very thankful for him to teach me how to do it properly. And, you know, we had a very good conversation. And so even though I appear to be critical of this whole situation that the Hexicans find themselves in today, it doesn't mean that I do not like the technology of HEX. It doesn't mean that I don't like decentralization. And I'm actually, you know, I respect Richard's intellect. I'm just critical of the way he's handling the tough situations that he finds himself in. And that's just me speaking my mind. So I'm not like trying to FUD and trying to have people sell HEX. I think we all should win in crypto, including HEX. And so when I started getting invited into those streams, I obviously explained who I was, what I'm doing, and why I like HEX, and why I like Richard from 2 years ago, that sort of thing. And I think I did maybe 15 different streams, and then every stream I would go on to, people in chat would be asking, when's Jack Coin? When's Jack Coin? I'm like, well, I guess if you guys want the coin, I'll just launch one. And I spent about 45 days working on it with my team that I already had. And we launched Zen, which follows the first principles of crypto, which is modeled after Bitcoin. So it doesn't have the OA, it doesn't have the pre-allocation, there's no admin keys, it's immutable code. The inflation comes from the fact that the contract just mints the coins for free, you just pay a little bit of gas. And so that's the genesis of Zen. I never thought I would be launching a coin, but since a lot of people wanted me to launch one, I just did it and wanted to see what happens. So that's the story there.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. You know, and how many lines of code is it?
400.
400 lines of code. This guy launches a freaking coin that gets adopted like crazy. You can mint it for free, right?
Yeah, I mint it for free. I think today you're paying about $5 per wallet, and a month ago you were paying $3, so maybe $2.50 per wallet. So the gas price and the Ethereum value, as they increase, it actually makes Zen more expensive to mint. But it also has the difficulty formula. So every day you get less and less Zen. So if you're minting early, if you're an early adopter, you get certain amplifiers to get more Zen if you come early, because you pay less gas and the formula actually is more is better for you. So, and then it has the 8-year run rate. So after 8 years, there will be hardly any coins minted. So right now you're minting about 60,000 coins per day, and you can specify how many days you can mint for. And you can specify, I believe, up to 450 days right now. And also what makes Zen unique is that we're on 10 different chains. So we launched pretty much simultaneously everywhere. And a lot of chains actually couldn't handle the load, which is kind of interesting. So Polygon gas price went up to 5,000 Gwei.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And Binance, you couldn't send BNB between wallets when we were launching. So that was actually pretty cool.
And you did that with 400 lines of code.
Well, I think people resonate with the purity of the project because, like, I don't hold any Zen. Like, whatever I had, I burned it on a ZenFT. So an NFT project, we called it ZenFTs, actually burned Zen.
That's amazing. So you don't own any of the coin?
I do not own any coin because I never pre-minted anything. And you can see it on chain. There's no coins minted. There's no crime in this coin.
No.
We should talk about the villain token. I want to see if what kind of crime is embedded in that thing.
So I applaud you for not having any coins, because that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna have any villain token. It's essentially gonna be a DAO, and it's gonna have its own governing body that is elected by the community. There's a lot to it. It's a lot to even say in this stream, but I do plan on eventually launching it. But I don't want to hype it up too much yet because I want to give the market time to catch up.
Okay.
The market the market is a little, and I'm going to say it right now, I'm timing the market. I'm absolutely timing the market. I don't want to launch in such a bloody place and then people will be like, "Oh, look, he's launching this scam." And the funny thing is, nobody really understands or sees the code or knows the tokenomics of it. I did like maybe one AMA, and immediately the Hex community is like, "Oh, this guy's a scammer! Look at this scammer!" And I'm like, "Dude, you don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, what do you mean?"
But listen, isn't everybody a scammer who is launching a coin and was part of Hex at some point?
Apparently. Well, what about Hedron? What about Icosa? What about Maxi? What about those guys? Why are they not scammers?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I mean, I would say flip a coin and half the Hexicans will say it's a scam because, well, they're just repeating what Richard says.
That's so fucking toxic. Like, not everything that Richard Hart says is a scam, number one.
It's not toxic, it's just stupid.
No shit. It's fucking dumb. It's a missed opportunity, right? As somebody says, "Oh, I'm saving you in crypto." What are you? Okay, well, what if you could have made a bunch of fucking money on say Zen or on Villain when it launches or Hedron? People made money. So what the fuck is he saving you from by saying things are a scam? I mean, look, I understand there's a lot of scams in crypto. I fucking get it. What, 95%, maybe more? There's a lot of scams in crypto, but it doesn't mean that everything's a scam, right? And again, I have to applaud you when you're saying that you don't own any of the coin, you burned your coin, because that just speaks volumes as to what you're trying to do. You're being an innovator. You're making cool shit, right? You don't.
Yeah. So I am a minter. I mint Zen, and I am part of the community that's essentially participating in an equal level playing field with everyone. I think it's what Satoshi wanted for people when he launched Bitcoin.
Right.
And so with Zen, I think everybody can be Satoshi.
Yeah, and that's the point. Like, it's okay to say that you mint, right? But I'm saying, like, you didn't get any pre-allocated coins. You didn't get any. You didn't get in like a pool of coins that come to you and say, "Here's money for developing this thing." No, you just developed it, and you're like, everyone's gonna have an equal playing field, and that's it. And
I just launched an open source code, and I just said, "Hey, people, here it is. This is the light paper. Have at it. Do whatever you want. I mean, if you think it sucks, don't do anything. If you're interested, then this is how you play with it."
And you can mint it for fucking free. Like, what?
Yeah, on 10 different chains. So if you feel like you don't want to spend $3 per wallet, you can go to Polygon and spend 5 cents.
That's so cool, man. That is so cool. Do you plan on doing PulseChain? Like having it on PulseChain?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I want PulseChain to have Zen. Because, I mean, doesn't Research stand for full transparency and decentralization, all those great things we love in crypto?
Supposed to.
And no middleman.
But he himself is a middleman.
Well, yeah.
He himself is a middleman.
Okay, well, there's no middleman in Zen, and therefore it should be on PulseChain.
Right. I agree, and that's good. In terms of a blockchain, oh man, an L1, so to speak. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of chatter online that people want you to launch one of those.
Well, I'll do what people want. So, if people want L1, they'll get L1.
So does that mean we get to have an L1, a Jack L1?
Oh, well, it's not going to be called Jack L1, but...
What is it going to be called?
I I don't know. There's. I'll probably make a Twitter poll, and it could be Zentopia or some sort of stupid name. I don't know. The names don't matter. I mean, like, there's a bunch of stupid names out there right now for L1s. The name doesn't matter. What matters is, like, does it work? Does it have great economics? Does it present opportunity for people to build? Those are the things I'm focusing on, not the name right now.
Do you plan on beating PulseChain to market?
I think it will be easy now because, well, obviously it's... Well, I mean, they're trying to fork ETH2. And if I were to do anything, I will not be forking anything. I will just get the open source best blockchain code out there and launch it. I can do it in a weekend.
Yo. What about 2 weeks?
I could just go with the 2 weeks just because people like the 2 weeks, proposition. So maybe 2 weeks before I launch, I'll say in 2 weeks and then I'll actually do it.
Okay. When do you plan on starting this?
I already started researching the setup, and currently I am working on the economic model for it. Because economic model is the most important thing. Technology itself is easy. Software isn't hard, actually. So neither is infrastructure. So the tokenomics model is where it needs to be done right. And so I'm working with some of the math degens that are my friends to get it designed properly. So we're talking about it right now.
That's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Will you have a sacrifice phase?
Absolutely not.
Why not? Doesn't it require a sacrifice phase?
Not if you've been a billionaire since you were 5.
Bro, this is funny. So you're telling me we don't need $1 billion to make a chain?
No.
Yeah, dude. Come on, and you can I don't even know how to even understand what's happening here. Okay, we put in so much fucking money into PulseChain for Richard to save us all with the world's biggest airdrop. It didn't fucking happen. It's 2 years later. It's not out. And you're saying you can do it in a weekend without $1 billion sacrifice.
Well, let's be specific. Richard wants to copy Ethereum block state, which is very different what I'm saying I want to do. What I want to do is just launch an L1 that will run the Zen's ecosystem.
Okay.
And that's a little different. And I don't care about copying, forking, syncing, none of that stuff. I just would launch the infrastructure to run the blockchain that will accept Zen as the gas token. That's what I would do.
So, let me ask you this. Is it worthwhile to copy the entire system state?
Not to me.
But would it make a difference if you do or you don't?
I think it makes it interesting. I think Ethereum proof of work did it. But ultimately it's worthless because USDC on proof of work Ethereum is not worth the dollars. So
right,
it's just the data being copied. It doesn't mean that the data actually has value. The only reason to have the data in it so that it could be swapped for PulseChain, Pulse token, right? PLS. That is the only reason. So, but since there isn't anything that I propose anybody would swap, and Zen is already being held by hundreds of thousands of people, then I don't really need any sort of DEX on it to convert your airdropped Ethereum tokens to Zen. That's not how Zen works.
Right.
Zen you mint on Ethereum, and then what we'll have is we'll have this atomic swap one-way bridge that will convert following very specific tokenomics, it will convert your Zen holdings to the gas token that you will actually get yield on by validators validating the blocks. So if you want to become a validator on a new chain, you just need to hold Zen on Ethereum. It will copy over, and it will be done with a smart contract. So it will not necessarily need to be copied as a state. It will be copied as a record from Ethereum and from Binance and from Polygon and from Phantom and all of those other chains. You'll be able to do all that. And then if you want to run infrastructure, you can deposit your Zen as proof of stake and get yield by validating blocks.
Wow, interesting. There's a lot involved in that.
It's actually not very hard at all. So a lot of people already offering to become validators, which is essentially running a virtual server on Amazon or anywhere else, like Google Cloud, doesn't matter. If they hold Zen, they can stake it and validate the blocks and act as the cloud consensus mechanism for the chain. So that gives Zen more utility, because if people are developing on the new chain, that actually means that Zen has more value because it's used as a utility token or a gas token for the chain.
Wow. Zen holders. Zen holders. Did you hear that? Wow. Did you drop that out, like that bit of information before this stream?
I've been talking about it on and off. I didn't really have such specific questions like you were asking, but that is basically kind of like the gist of it.
Wow. Okay. So in terms of, let's speak now instead of code, like marketing, right? Business and all that, right? What is it, or what is your overall like how are you trying to market this to the masses? How are you trying to get this out there even further? So this way to increase adoption to not only Zen, but also to the new L1 you're trying to create.
Okay, well, first of all, being on 10 different chains with Zen definitely attracts attention, especially like due to the fact that 3 of those chains almost died and they had to change their gas structure.
Wow.
So that brings a lot of attention.
Right.
Number 2, we launched NFTs that actually bulk mint Zen for you based on your gas spent, and also burn Zen. So there's a lot of Zen burned just in the last 10 days. I would say 8% of total Zen supply has actually disappeared. It got burned, converted to NFTs. So that makes the market react as well, because if you think about it, there is the ERC20 crowd. They're trading on Uniswap or anywhere else. But there's also the NFT degen crowd that are buying the apes and doing all those interesting things with NFTs. And so us being in both ecosystems, both trading platforms, so like OpenSea and Uniswap, actually brings more marketing to the token. And so NFTs or ZenFTs are an integral part of the ecosystem. Now, the third thing that is really, really important, on October 8th, when we launched, we burned so much gas, we actually made Ethereum deflationary. Ethereum now is actually better than Bitcoin because the supply of Ethereum is dropping due to Zen burning it.
Holy cow! So that right there is enough marketing. I mean, it's literally helping ETH.
Yeah, like think about it. If you go to Ethereum Explorer right now, if you go to stats and look at tokens, we're number 3 token traded, or rather ranked by transactions and by gas used. So we have so much activity. We're actually only 3rd after OpenSea and Uniswap. And the 3rd is the Zen ecosystem.
That's big. That's big.
So a lot of people who are not even haven't read the light paper, haven't been following me on Twitter, all they have to do is go to Ethereum scanner, either scan, and see which token is the most popular, and we're in the number 3.
That is huge, man. So do you anticipate Zen in the next bull run to be like a top 20 crypto?
I think I'd like it to be top 5.
Holy shit.
Look, well, think about it. It has 8-year distribution cycle, and it's on 10 different chains. It will be on more chains. and it's going to be held by most of the people in the world because doesn't have any barrier to entry, and it has a lot of things being built on it. There's like 20 different teams are building new stuff by using Zen, using the proof of burn protocol with Zen, and so that is super attractive for potential investors. Now today, I don't ever say that you should buy Zen. I say you should mint Zen because we're in a distribution phase. Just think about it as an airdrop that runs for like 6 years. So the airdrop usually happens instantly, but here we're doing an airdrop over a 6-year period. And then the reason why I don't say like 7 and 8 years, because the amount of Zen that will be freely minted is going to be microscopic in the last couple of years. So it's a different model when it comes to airdropping and the distribution. And usually, you know how it is. The coins are minted and then they're airdropped to the whitelisted wallet addresses, whatever, right? Here we're basically saying engage in the protocol, become a minter, understand the ecosystem, be a loyal user for like 5 or 6 years, and then it becomes the world's second Bitcoin or something like that.
Wow.
Just because there's no more of it to be minted.
Right. That's big, man. I'm I kind of want to get on my computer right now and just start minting. I'm not even gonna lie. Like this is really getting me stoked, and I do own some Zen. I've minted myself. I just didn't know the power that's gonna occur, and the plans. Now that you're just like you're coming out with it, it's fucking genius, man.
Thanks.
Wow. It's really. I mean, you're really applying a lot of things here to help it grow and help your users become wealthy essentially, and you yourself included because you're also a minter. So it's
yeah, absolutely. I minted from day one, and my terms are 400 days plus. So in 400 days I'll get my Zen. I did mint for the Zunicorn. The Zunicorn is this series and class of XENFTs that is very, very rare. There's only 100 of them. So I wanted to get an early number. So I minted for about 60 days when I announced XENFTs, and I started minting so that I could actually have Zen to be able to mint this NFT. And when XENFTs came out, I burned 10 billion Zen and I got myself a Zunicorn.
That's so cool. That's so cool, man. I'm so excited to see how this is going to progress. And I want to continue having our discussion here. And dude, anytime you want to come up and talk about Zen, the ZenFTs, the new L1, I mean, please, let me know, and we can come up on here on Kick. This is where I stream. I definitely will love to go ahead and further the discussion, because I know there's a lot more that's going to occur. So just to follow this progress, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And we have like 400 people viewing it, right?
We're at 405, yeah.
Nice. That's more than I get on YouTube, actually. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. And there's a lot of people that are interested in what we're doing. Again, I'm a partner here. So, and I think I'm featured too on the front page. So a lot of people are seeing this and they're like, oh, what's going on in that guy's freaking stream? So hopefully they are seeing this and they're also going to start minting. I did let everybody know on Kick, there's a Discord or whatnot, that this was going to occur. And there's many people that are, again, they're bettors, right? They go and they bet on stake.com. So, they like that kind of feel of getting into something that could essentially produce some form of a gain, right? As we know, betting in crypto is there's a fine line in between the two, and from investing and betting. So, there's peak interest.
Yeah, investing is kind of like betting.
Oh, absolutely.
You bet on the future.
Yep.
Appreciation.
Yep, exactly. All right, so one last question about Zen before we conclude this stream, man. In terms of the chart, right? A lot of people have they want to know what does the future look like, So, obviously, we're in a bear market now, but like if you were to see, Zen being X amount of dollars in market cap, seeing Zen being X amount of price. I mean, I obviously not financial advice, and price predictions are usually wrong. But where do you see Zen? How do you see the chart progressing?
So the best way to understand and look at the chart, we should look at the market cap. And the market cap is actually a true market cap because it's fully diluted since there's nobody holding onto their bag from the founding team. So I would say that looking at the market cap, looking at $6 million of the market cap, which is microscopic by
It's a $6 million market cap.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's microscopic.
Tiny.
Yeah, it has almost no liquidity, so only degens are trading, only short-term minters are trading, and so of course the chart is moving sporadically here and there. I would say that the true value of the project is probably between 500 million and a billion. And looking at the price today, you could do the math, obviously. So, but there are many forces in the play here. Number one is the gas. If the gas rises on Ethereum, it makes Zen more expensive to mint. So maybe more people will be opting to buy it just because it wouldn't make sense to mint. Or if Ethereum price rises, then in terms of dollar spent, it also becomes more expensive. So that's another, I guess, in the hexagon term, I would say pumpamental.
That is so true.
Yeah, on the chart and on the value. And I think the third thing is all of the new things we're coming up with. So ZenFTs definitely pumped Zen, and it definitely burning Zen. So there's this aspect of burn that's happening every day.
It's deflationary.
And yeah, it's deflationary. I mean, well, it's still inflationary, but the burn creates disinflationary force. Disinflationary force means that the inflation rate is slowing down. It's logarithmic. It's not exponential. And that's important because that means that, and also like a lot of people are giving me crap about the chart being not up and to the right, but more like down and to the right. But if you think about this, what's really happening, it's been out for like 100 days so far. It looks to me like it's a Dodge auction chart. The price is still being discovered. The minters are coming, and then they're looking at the gas price. They're thinking, should we be minting for $5 a wallet, $10 a wallet? Should we be buying or minting NFTs, that sort of thing. So we're still in a I guess floor discovery right now. And to me it looks like a Dodge auction because the pressure from the minters who are paying the gas and spending their ether is pushing up against the sellers that are minting from like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, short-term minters. And so those guys eventually disappear because it's no longer profitable to mint for a month. And so people are opting in to mint for a year plus. And if you find a person like that and if you like interview them, generally those people have long-term horizons, which is gonna make them, I guess, hold on to Zen rather than to sell it right away, just because the short-term minters only have one objective, is to sell. But I think as the selling, or rather minting cost rises, it pushes those people out. And that's also bullish.
Definitely a very interesting project, man.
Thanks.
Or product, right? Because immutable code is finished.
It's a few things on that. So the code is finished, and Zen acts like a Lego block or Lego blocks for the world to build anything they want. And we're building lots of interesting things on top of it. And we encourage other people to build. And also one thing that is very different in this project, I actually offer expectations. I don't say that there's no expectations from the team. I actually say that I am doxed, everybody knows who I am, and I offer the statement that I plan to be in it for a very long time and build the ecosystem continuously. So that is the type of expectations I am comfortable with sharing.
Wow. So you're telling people, have expectations on me.
100%. Have expectations.
See, that's completely against like the hexagon way where it's like, no expectations. No.
Well, I have no reason not to give expectations because I don't hold the bag.
So if there's expectations from the work of others, does that make it a security?
No, because the security must be held by the team.
Oh, right, right. There has to be. Okay.
And since we don't have the allocation, you can say expect us to use Zen to build great things.
Okay.
Because we're not technically enriching ourselves by telling people that pump, like think about it. If Zen pumps right now 1000%, I cannot sell because I don't have it. So how can it be a security, and how can I actually make it work for me? So like for me to say that yes, there's expectations is a totally fine thing to say because I actually have them of myself too. So why wouldn't I not tell other people to have it?
Right, right, right. Certainly a very interesting kind of project, and I think
Yeah,
that
thanks.
the way that you're doing this, you're finessing it, man. It's amazing. You know, I have to be honest with you, man. Like I at first I didn't see your vision. I didn't see anything because you know Zen is. You know, I seen you can mint it or whatever, and I didn't really see the value of it and I didn't really do research, so it was my bad. You know, I didn't fucking research it. And I poked fun at it a couple of times, and I'll be honest, you know, I did, and the reason
That's
why,
fine.
and the reason why was because of who you streamed. Just to be honest, that was just you know I was just poking fun. But again, yeah, dude, I 100% see your vision. I 100% see what you're trying to do here, man. You're a very genuine kind of dude, and just for the simple fact that you came up here to talk about it in front of all these great people on this new platform, you know, it speaks volumes, man. You're right. You are docs. You are, you know, people know exactly who you are, and you know, I'm very excited to see where this goes. And as far as people weighing the difference between, say, a Jack Levin and a Richard Hart, let's just look at it this way, man. Like Richard is a different kind of like founder, right? Richard doesn't. I mean, sure, people know him by Richard Hart, but he's really Richard J. Schuler, and that's him. You know, and everybody knows that. It's public knowledge. I'm not doxing him, but you know, as far as like who he is and what he does, you know, he's not very like you know not very public and not very transparent, right? Whereas Jack is, and I like my founders of the cryptos that I am a part of to have that kind of transparency. And the fact that you don't have an address that has the 90% of the supply, I'm pretty fucking happy about that, right? So, you know, you could bet your bottom dollar I'm going to continue minting, especially after this, because, dude, Zen seems like it's a fucking home run in the long term. And, you know, you could stake it. You're building a whole fucking ecosystem. Like, this is so cool. Dude, thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
it's yeah, for sure, and thanks for having me. It's super fun, and I guess in conclusion, I'll say that I am, you know, still like HEX. I have a lot of Hexicans who are my friends. I don't have any plans or desire to FUD or talk crap about anybody. I think if a person chooses to behave the way they choose to behave, it's their karma that they're dealing with. I'm not the one to judge. Sometimes I am critical, but that's generally because I would do things differently, and I always have a disclaimer that I don't expect them to change. I just would say that this is how I would do it, and that's it. But I have respect for everyone out there, whatever they're doing. They have sovereign right to be a great person or to be an asshole. I am totally fine with either case.
You're so humble, man. I appreciate that. I mean, look, we can call out bullshit when we see bullshit, right? I mean, let's just call it what it is. If we see something, we can be honest and be opinionated on something. It doesn't mean we're fudding it. It's just something just doesn't add up or make sense. We can fucking say it. The problem is with, like, say, the Hex community on Twitter, primarily Twitter. You know, there's a lot of people on Twitter that are just very opinionated. They you know, they try to FUD you and talk all that shit. You know, calling you, you know, if you disagree with them, they immediately attack your mental health. It's stupid. So I believe that you know, if it's one thing to take away from this, is, you know, Jack is right. You know, we should certainly not be, you know, insulting to a person's character of what they are, what they do. You know, and I don't want to be insulting to anyone. I typically meme shit, which is hilarious, and you guys get so mad about it. It's fucking funny. So keep getting mad and fuck you. But, you know, it just is what it is. But if you can find the humor in it and you could just meme it and be like, you know what, that was actually kind of funny, and laugh about it, then you can actually be the fucking person to say, hey, you know, we're not going to attack somebody's hustle. We're not going to attack the person for being opinionated. If they have an opinion, we should listen to it and see both sides of every single coin. Because every single coin does have two sides, and you should observe both and be very, very critical on both sides of that coin. You know, if you don't observe that, and if you don't see, you know, the two sides of the coin, then you're going to, you know, fall into the traps like Richard Hart is setting for you, saying, well, everything else is a scam if it's not HEX or fucking PulseChain and PulseX. I'm here to save you. Well, if you just ask the fucking question why is he doing that, and see the other side and say, okay, well, let me see what is actually out there, then you know what? You're not in the trap. You're not in the bubble. You're actually a critical thinker, and you're not a fucking sheep, and you could think for yourself, right? If Jack would have said, you know what, I'm not going to fucking develop my own thing because I'm going to trust solely into Richard Hart stuff, you wouldn't have Zen. You wouldn't have an L1, right? You wouldn't have what he's building, the XENFTs. You wouldn't have any of that, right? So it's very limiting to follow that kind of doctrine, because Richard Hart, he wants to be the king of crypto. He wants everybody to follow him like he's a god because, number one, it enriches him. Number two, it empowers him. Number three, it controls you. I mean, that's the nature of his game. It's his hustle. And that's why people call HEX a cult, because it's all for him. It's all for the Hexicans and Hexaco. But it doesn't reward people building shit. And the fucking idiot is not rewarding people building shit, which people are trying to build on PulseChain. And as a matter of fact, he talks shit about the degen protocol, who are building for PulseChain. Like, it's a dumb fucking concept. It's stupid. You know, you need adoption on your L1 fork, right? You need people to adopt it and build on it and use it for its intended purpose. But if you're gonna make everybody feel like shit and saying, well, don't build shit, I'm the fucking savior, well, who the fuck's gonna use your L1 fork? Everyone's gonna fucking attack the shit that's building on it. Dumb concept.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my soapbox, bro.
I think in the proper game theory, we all strive towards the what we call a Nash equilibrium. Nash equilibrium is a point within the game where everybody who participates wins at least something. So, and that's very important in crypto specifically because the money is moving around. And of course, I totally agree with you that 99% of the projects out there are actually scams. But the true projects out there that people are, I mean, and there's quite a bit of them as well, those who actually follow the proper game theory and find the Nash equilibrium will end up not only making a lot of money for themselves and participating in the crypto economy, but also give a piece of it to the other people out there. And this is a worldwide phenomenon, right? If you have internet, if you have a crypto wallet, you can participate in your project, which is, there's no way it could have been done like this 10 years ago before Ethereum. So I'm super psyched about all these new things that we can build.
Well, it's that, and also adoption, like worldwide adoption, right? Like
worldwide.
You know, we need more people to understand that crypto is good, that it exists, that there could be cool things to be built to solve real world problems, right? One of the things that I want to do with Villain Token is I want to solve real world problems. I want to reward projects that use the token factory of Villain, because there's going to be a token factory, okay, to create tax tokens to solve real world problems that will be rewarded by us promoting them through the Villain token system. Okay, so an example is if you want to solve breast cancer, right? And you want to fund breast cancer awareness, that's going to be like at the top of the list. I want real world stuff to be solved. Humanity has a fuck ton of problems, and crypto has the ability to fund ways to solve these problems. And right now, it's a very small amount of people in the world that are within cryptocurrency, period. I think it's like 5 or 8%. It's little. Imagine if that percentage went up to 40. It'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, sure, a lot of people know cryptocurrency exists, but not many people are in it. And because of what's going on with FTX, what's going on with all these fucking, all these scams that are going on, it's turning people off to something that could essentially solve a lot of our problems in the world. It can fund a lot of people to do really cool shit. It could be a great distribution of wealth where it's taking money from the 1% and fucking giving it to the masses. But you guys don't fucking see that. A lot of people like to talk shit about cryptocurrency. Oh, it's a fucking scam. You got this fucking dog here. Look at this. Oh, it's a Doge. Like, that's not what the fuck it is. There's so much more to it. And I think, and again, one of the reasons why I'm bringing cryptocurrency here to kick.com is because I can see an opportunity not only to get more people involved, but to grow with the platform and really bring crypto to streamers, to streaming, to be the next biggest fucking thing together with this platform. And whatever cryptocurrency decides to come with, like we have here, Mr. Jack Levin, nice enough to come here, and I think he sees the value in streaming on kick.com today, hopefully. If not, we'll talk about it, Jack. Same thing with Robert Janito, right? With the Genius token. There's people right now that are seeing the value in this, and we can grow with this platform. And I hope, and I'm hoping we can get more adoption to cryptocurrency and into great, legitimate projects where you don't have fucking scammy shit like what Jack is building and what Robert's building. It's fucking phenomenal that we're starting here at this embryo stage, and I think we're going to see some really great stuff happen in the near future.
Sounds super exciting, and definitely a lot of positive energy can be expressed with crypto, and I think we should just go after it.
Absolutely. I'm with you, man. And Jack, listen, anytime, all right? You want to come up, let's schedule dates and times. Whenever you're down with the L1, let's fucking put it out there and let the masses hear about it.
Let's do it.
Awesome, man. Jack, thank you so much for coming here. I'm going to go ahead and mute up in a little bit. Do you want, before I mute up, to go ahead and do my outro, do you have anything you want to go ahead and say to the community? Anything, where they can find you, how they can go ahead and get a hold of you, or maybe some of your stuff, your website, anything?
Zen.network is where the web app for Zen is. That's where the light paper is also linked. I am Mr. Jack Levin on Twitter. Please follow and like my videos. Jack Levin Official on YouTube. I'll probably make an account on Kick too because it looks cool. Thank you guys. Love you guys, and I hope to see everyone later on Telegram.
Jack, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, dude. And I'm gonna go ahead and mute. I'll go ahead and cover up the screen so you can, decompress, and then I'll come back to the call after we're done.
Okay.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Jack Levin, and I can hear myself. Listen,